Hey guys, welcome back to another brand new video. Today we are watching Wednesday's Entertainment, one of my personal favorites. I've been watching Wednesday's Entertainment since I was like 4. Yeah. I'm gonna find some horror animations which I like the animation style of. I think this and us. I'll say I ain't watching this, but I'm keeping this so I can watch later. Alright. Let's try this.
My name is Dalton, and this is my story. It all started when my friends dared me to stay in an abandoned haunted train. When I got there, I said goodbye to my friends and walked to the train. It was freezing. I'm lucky I brought my thermal coat, otherwise I would have got frostbite. So when I got to the train, I found a perfect room to sleep in for the night, and I laid down for 20 minutes and fell asleep. I woke up to the sound of screaming and wind.
Let's try this. Alright.
This happened to me when I was around 14 years old.
14 years old.
I was at a sort of religious class located far from our main school building. I was drawing my cartoon characters, waiting for my teacher. However, an hour had passed and he didn't come. One of my classmates went out to see what was wrong, and it turned out
Good advice. Run.
that our teacher didn't arrive yet. So we had to wait a bit longer. After she told us that information, we continued waiting. I started drawing again until one of my friends, Aina, suddenly pulled on my sleeve and whispered, "Something is wrong with CT." I looked at CT, who was sitting at the back with the loud group. She wasn't saying anything or laughing. Well, it was quite weird seeing her like that, because she was the one who always talked a lot in that group. And then I saw that she was holding a small piece of black cardboard and a pocket knife. Since we had an art class that day, I thought that she might have been doing her homework at first, but I froze when I glanced at her the second time. She started carving something on the cardboard, and very aggressively. I couldn't see what she was carving, but she then woke up, went outside of the classroom, and stood there staring at something. Aina poked my shoulder, signaling that I should check out CT's cardboard. So I sneakily went to her seat to grab the piece of cardboard she left on the table and went back to my seat. As soon as we flipped the cardboard over, we got goosebumps all over our bodies. Something was written on it. The words meant we didn't disturb them, they disturb us, in our language. Aina and I looked at each other. When I got up to return the piece of cardboard, CT was already in her seat and stared at me with a scrutinizing look on her face. I sat down and slid the piece of cardboard under my desk. All of a sudden, I had the sudden urge to know what the heck was going on. So I got up and went towards her with Aina. "Hey CT, how's it going?" I asked. But she didn't answer my question. Then I could hear Aina whispering the Lord's Prayer, and my fear alarm started buzzing again. Then Aina tried to talk to CT, but for some reason, she suddenly shuddered. And I knew the reason. CT started to mumble the exact words that she had carved onto the cardboard, but this time her voice changed. She sounded like a demon. Her voice was deeper and lower than a man's, and her eyes simultaneously started to turn white. Her mumbling was getting louder, and now she began to scream while shaking her whole body. Everybody in the class stood on their seats and watched what CT was doing with fear. Before long, CT suddenly stopped, dropped her face slowly down on the desk and began to sleep. I quickly returned to my seat and tried to take out the cardboard, but it was not there.
Was it?
I searched all over the classroom, even inside of the bin, but it was gone.
It's like it never
The next
existed.
morning, I went to CT and asked her what she was doing in class yesterday, and she replied, "Oh, I was sleeping during the whole class." "You sure?" I asked again, but she said yes, nodding her head. Was my friend possessed? Could it be real? And what she told me next made my face turn white and my heart drop. Oh yeah, while I was sleeping yesterday, I was at some church, and I saw a very beautiful stained glass window with a nun. I wonder who that nun was, though.
How is that? How's that scary?
This is the story that happened to me a few years ago.
First, look at this dude. Look at him. His mountain's tiny.
I was studying for the civil service examination. I came up to the big city to study, and while I was
Yeah,
looking for
right.
the house to stay, I met one house owner. The middle-aged lady was so kind, and the rent price of the room was extremely cheap in comparison with the price at that time. All of my friends opposed and said the price is too cheap. They also told me to reconsider it, but my mind was urgent,
good, it's
so
good.
I just made a contract right away.
Good.
The room was pretty big, and the window was also wide enough so that I was satisfied with my room. But a few days later, a strange smell began to come up from under my bed. At first, it was endurable,
I would move
but the
out.
odor was getting worse, so I couldn't sleep at all in my bed. I eventually begged the owner and ended up moving to the next room, which was far away from this room. Since that day, whoever moves to that room, they all moved out again because of the smell. A few people visited in a few days, and I heard the conversation between those people and the owner while they were taking out all the stuff and removed the wallpapers in the room. "Ma'am, we had told you that it would stink. If you'd have done what we said last time, well, you'd have spent less money." And then she answered embarrassedly, "I didn't know it was going to be like this." They then began to remove the floor, change the cement, and finally change the whole room completely. Until then, I thought we were just remodeling the house, but after I heard the story of the room from the other people who lived around here, I eventually realized that I was totally wrong. It is said that a few months ago, one student committed suicide in the room. And the owner at that time, she ignored the cleaning company's word that she had to reapply the cement to remove the smell that had seeped into the floor. So she just chose wiping off the blood of the body by reason that it was expensive. The cement looks hard just by looking at it, but because of the porosity, it's known that the cement has lots of small holes like sponges. But what if someone was murdered or the dead body was left unattended for a few days? When the blood or such thing flows downwards, it starts to rot inside and then stinks. In addition, if the dead body is left unattended for a few days, the waste begins to come out and the fat flows out when it starts to decay. Like the blood and the waste are hard to clean, as you know. As soon as the smell penetrates through the concrete hole, you would not be able to get rid of the bad smell no matter what you do. Therefore, it's said that cement should be removed altogether because the smell would not be gone of this kind of house. Although I wasn't staying in that room at that time, I kept feeling uncomfortable, so I eventually ended up moving a while later. I would like to say this to those who are currently looking for the new house. Even if a newly plastered house smells, or if you found any signs of partially cement floor, especially when the house is old, be careful. Because I'm sure that something would have happened in that house already.
Ooh, that's creepy. Alright, so I'm gonna end it right there. Yep, and ended it.